When you don't need an answer, you'll be days like this. When you don't need a chance, you'll be days like this.
Because they may well have got away with it. It wasn't for the eagle-eyed commentary team, South African commentary team. Funny de Villiers, the former South African fast bowler, was alongside Neil Manthorpe, and Funny he spotted something, and he sent the camera in. Keep an eye on that. There's something going on there. Otherwise, they could have got away with it. Neil Manthorpe joins us now. Good afternoon, Neil.
Good afternoon, James.
So when did he first alert you? Did he kind of give you a little nudge in the commentary box?
Actually, the commentators couldn't see anything. We're too far away. The credit belongs entirely to the cameramen. We heard from the director that camera 6 at mid-wicket had found something and was tracking something. So we were told to stay sharp, keep our eyes open, and obviously you need to be alert that something unusual might be appearing on your screen, because you don't suddenly want to blurt out, "Oh my God, it's sandpaper," which is so. The cameramen, South African sports cameramen are a breed apart. There's lots of good cameramen all around the world, but on every single production, there's 3 or 4 on Sky Sports production. There's 3 or 4 in every single T20 league. They are amazing, and they normally can't spend their spare time picking out scantily clad females, which is less savoury than picking up ball tamperers. But anyway, so the footage was on Bancroft. It was a kind of, I think the director was teasing us, because he showed us pictures of him digging his hand into his pocket and then bringing something out which we didn't see. And we thought it's going to be another example of what we saw 5 or 6 times in Port Elizabeth, when David Warner was polishing the ball very, very suspiciously and had all that stuff on his hand, all that bandaging and whatever. We had been told by one of the South African players that at the end of the series he would be prepared to say under oath or provide an affidavit that he saw Warner apply a piece of sandpaper into his left palm, but there was no footage. So the cameramen were all on alert, and then when they got the shot of the yellow, what they claimed was sticky tape covered in sand, then there was just a roar of all the warnings that we were given not to overreact when the pictures appeared. There was just a roar, and there was this guttural noise from outside behind our commentary box with former captain Graham Smith, who just let out this kind of wounded bear noise, and he just yelled, "Sandpaper!"
Oh no! Apparently the cameraman was scanning the team for 90 minutes. That's a long time. So waiting for the right moment.
It was longer than that.
Really?
They've been following. They've been looking for signs throughout the Port Elizabeth Test match. The St George's Park Square and outfield are the greenest, most lush playing surface in the whole of the country, and you'd struggle to find a greener, more lush one anywhere in the home counties of England in a wet spring. And so for the ball to be reverse swinging after 25 overs, it was clear that something was happening, something was going on. And so, yeah, we've all seen those cops and robbers and private detective programs when there's a stakeout that happens for 24 hours and someone has to sit in the car outside someone's house. No, these guys have been on the job for weeks. It was like they got their first lead, their first real lead, when they saw that Bancroft was obviously up to something. But it took them 90 minutes to get the incriminating footage. But then it was also, it's like, when you identify a piece of evidence, you need to have all the processes in place afterwards. Otherwise, it can just be a denial. No, it wasn't me. I didn't do anything. So you have to have a camera waiting for all possible scenarios, which they managed to do. And it wasn't just the director. I promise you, the cameramen themselves are able to communicate with each other and they deserve. I mean, if you believe that anybody deserves any credit in this disgusting thing, then it should go to the cameramen, because they had somebody on the coach, Darren Lehman. They had another camera on Bancroft all the time to show him hiding the evidence. They had a cameraman on the dugout to see the 12th man, Peter Hanscom, come out to try and remove the evidence for him. So, they couldn't it wasn't just a bust, it was all the follow-up stuff as well that meant they couldn't wriggle off the hook.
So the idea, I mean, that this was the first time it happened, that Steve Smith claims, seems highly unlikely, doesn't it?
There's a thing called plausible deniability. So when he said this is the first time it happened, that could mean this is the first time that Cameron Bancroft has interfered with the ball in this particular fashion. It could mean this is the first time the leadership group came up with the decision. It could be the first time of anything. Is it the first time Australia have tampered with the ball? No.
No, I think we're all with you on that one. No. We're already seeing the kind of butterfly effect from that eagle-eyed cameraman, the kind of early flapping of the butterfly's wings, but you can only imagine how far this is going to go. I mean, it's probably, we've got Steve Smith, reputation in tatters, David Warner, probably in a very similar situation, Lehman going earlier than he wanted to, talks of year-long bans. This is becoming a huger story by the minute, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And, we're expecting announcements from James Sutherland, Cricket Australia's chief executive, after the integrity unit flew out. Sorry, that makes me smile. Cricket Australia's integrity unit flew out landed 36 hours ago, and it's been conducting its investigations. But I don't think, as far as from an Australian point of view and a Cricket Australia point of view, I think it's completely irrelevant and inconsequential how long bans are, how many fines are laid out. But what needs to change is a fundamental understanding about decency. The best thing that they could do is I think David Warner's probably beyond help, but for Steve Smith and the rest of the team, is just a little bit of life coaching so they can get a sense of perspective about what is important and about what playing hard means and about being able to cope with defeat. Because, I feel sorry for them. I mean, what you do to stoop to that level. South Africa, I guess South Africa and England are in a similar position here, because we had to learn how to lose at the hands of Australia for years and years and years, as England did. And so you play hard, yes you do. You bowl as fast as you can. You protect your wicket with all your might. But afterwards, you shake hands and you move on to something else more important in life, and you do the next game. Australia are very, very good at that when they've won. But evidently they haven't learned how to lose, and this last Test match coming up now is going to be there are 4 replacement players flying out from Australia in the air now, but I just can't imagine how any of them are going to be even remotely focused on the job. I mean, if half the team aren't jet lagged, the other half are going to be as distracted as they were on the last day at Newlands when they lost all 10 wickets for 50.
Sure, as we saw. Good to talk to you, Neil. Thanks very much for joining us.
It's a pleasure as always.
Neil Manthorpe there.
Yeah, it's going to be eerie, that game on Friday.
Oh, yeah.
Very strange. It's a shame.
Do you sense a little bit of joy and satisfaction in the voice there of Neil and the South African commentators?
The series started and Australia were on fire. They won the first Test easily, and it's been a great series and 3 great Test matches. So it's a shame that it's going to end like this, but that's the way it is.
We've worked with a few cameramen over the years. Don't we ever see one in a 3-piece suit, though? That was the other thing that really impressed us about Zatani Oscar, who was the cameraman that caught that. Yeah, very well. And in the heat of Newlands as well. Impressive. Anyway, Hawksby and Jacobs here on talkSPORT.
When you don't need an answer, you'll be days like this. When you don't meet a chancer, you'll be days like this. When you don't get the trade, by that old Judas kiss. And I must remember, there'll be days like this.